Hello, everybody. Welcome to our WLUK Fox 11 YouTube series with former Packers fullback John Kuhn. All right, the playoffs. Everything's behind them. Don't worry about the regular season because it didn't end on a great note. Is momentum real?
Yes, it absolutely is real, and that's why you do worry about what happened. And what I mean by that is you go back, you watch the film, you make your corrections. You have to make sure that everybody's on the same page going forward because there were a couple details in this football game that you just absolutely cannot let happen. You got to make sure if you're in that same game situation like they were this past week, 55 seconds, kick the ball off with a 2-point lead, you don't let Philly march down the field and then have one shot from the 50-yard line. You never know what's going to occur in these football games, so you have to make sure when you are in your next game, the second season, that you're locked in on all the mistakes that you made throughout the season.
What's your biggest takeaway from the Bears game? Or is that something you're not even worried about? Because it's the Bears, it's in the past, it's the regular season, it doesn't matter.
My biggest takeaway is they didn't really look like they came with the focus and with the energy to win that football game. And Matt LaFleur assured us that we're coming out there to win that football game. And I understand taking Josh Jacobs out. I understand taking Jordan Love out. And I understand, when other guys get dinged up, you start being precautionary. I understand all of that. What I mean is you had a snap over the center's head or over the punter's head on the first series of the game. You were unable to move the football for a good portion in that football game. And then on the defensive side, you struggled getting after Caleb Williams after the first play of the game. It looked like you were going to be hunting him all game. I just wonder where the fire and the desire was to win that last football game. Granted, it might not have been for anything specific, might not have gotten you out of the 7th seed even if you had won that game. It just didn't look like they were ready to play that football game.
Is there a concern then that which has been a couple games now in a row because they had it in Minnesota until they got it going late, is there a concern that lingers?
Yeah, there is a concern that lingers, but it doesn't mean it will. And what I mean by that is when you hit the playoffs, things change. There are only 14 teams left practicing. Everybody else has got plane tickets out of their hometown or out of their town that they're playing in to their hometown. They're taking off now. Green Bay Packers aren't. And this picks up, and the energy gets a little, intense around the building, and you start watching film a little bit longer, and you start eating a little bit better, and you start training a little bit harder. And that might sound ridiculous because why are you going to do that at the end of the year? Because you do. It's the playoffs, and you never know what little bit more is going to take you that next step past the wild card round to the divisional round. So yes, there is concern with how the Packers finished the year, but it doesn't mean it's going to continue that way.
Yeah, that's a great point. Looks like Jordan Love should be fine for Philly. Hurt his funny bone. Unfortunately, Christian Watson done for the year, torn ACL. How big of a loss is he?
Well, that's an immense loss. No Christian Watson, no Jair Alexander in this football game. Two guys that they played Philadelphia with the first time around down in Brazil. And I got done watching that game. Christian Watson had a touchdown in that football game. Jair Alexander had an interception in that football game. So there's some production in that first game around that they're going to have to find other guys to contribute to this football team to make up for the lack of those two guys being there. But Matt LaFleur, he can get in his bag and scheme and figure out ways to try and create voids deep down the field so that Romeo Doubs can run into him, Dontavian Wicks can run into him, Malik Heath, Bo Melton, the rest of them, Jaden Reed, so that they can get theirs down the field. Even if they don't have that one-on-one, just run past my guy, jump higher than him, Matt LaFleur can figure out a way to try and scheme those guys into those spots.
What stood out to you from watching that tape from week 1 that you think the Packers can exploit?
Well, honestly, the Packers didn't play great in the red zone at the beginning of that football game. They had a couple trips down there. We know that they had red zone woes for a good portion of this football season. They had fixed that primarily here at the end of the year. If they can play better in the red zone offensively than what they did in game 1, that would be great. Jordan Love, he hasn't thrown interceptions here at the end of the year either. He threw 2 in that football game. That would change if he doesn't do that this time around as well, if he protects the football a little bit better. And then lastly, being able to slow down Saquon Barkley it's monumental. It's 1A. If they do nothing else, they have to do that defensively. Edgerrin Cooper is a guy that is going to be an absolute star in this league, and this game could be the first time that nationally people start saying, who is 56 for the Green Bay Packers? Edgerrin Cooper playing all the plays or the majority of the plays in this football game could be a difference maker based on game 1.
A lot of people look at the playoffs when they try to break it down, and you look for a team, at least a lot of people do, that nobody believes in us. I feel like Green Bay probably fits that bill.
And I'm okay with that. I'm perfectly fine with that because you know what? That puts some pressure on the Philadelphia Eagles. Green Bay going in, now there's a chance where Matt LaFleur can say, you know what? we're not supposed to win this football game, guys. You go out there, you play free, you have fun, you do you, and guess what? I'm going to call this game free as well. If they can embrace that role of we're going to leave everything out there, we're going to take our shots, and we're going to play fast, and we're going to play violent, then they will have a chance to win this football game. I don't care how good Philadelphia has looked throughout the course of the season and how the Packers finished this football season. They played with everybody they walked on the field with this year, and they can do that again here in the playoffs on Sunday.
The best time to get a marquee win is in the playoffs, because marquee wins in the regular season don't get you closer to the Lombardi Trophy.
I'd like to go back to last year one time too, and there weren't a whole lot of people giving the Packers a chance when they went down to Dallas. In fact, I remember standing on that sideline pregame and watching the Dallas Cowboys on the field, and these guys looked like a different team. And a lot of people walking around on the sideline were like, it's going to be a hard one. It's going to be very difficult down here with these Cowboys walking around and all the players that they have on their football team. And people are saying the same thing about the Eagles right now and this Packers team rolling in there. Jordan Love, this defense, it revolves around. Jordan Love plays well. This defense slows down Saquon. They're not going to stop him. Don't get that crazy. They're not going to. But slow him down. Don't let him blow the top off of this football game. And a little bit of Jordan Love magic. Does he still got it in him? He saw it at the end of last year. If he does that again, we got a shot.
2010, your Super Bowl run began in Philadelphia. What do you remember about that game?
Well, I remember it was crazy because we started the season in Philadelphia, and the starter that year was Kevin Kolb. And then Clay Matthews knocked him out of the game, and we saw Mike Vick at the end of that first game of the regular season. Beat him then we went back to there. And when we played him again, Michael Vick was an MVP candidate, and it was quite unnerving when Michael Vick and Deshaun Jackson and all these guys are on this football team. But we were able to slow him down. We were able to play him well, and I remember Tramon Williams getting that interception. Big time. And then the other thing I do remember, we didn't play perfect in that football game. Again, the Packers' complementary football is what's going to get them there. People don't realize this. When we won the Super Bowl in 2010, we had turnovers in all three of our playoff games to get to the Super Bowl. 2, 1, and 2. And the defense picked us up when we had turnovers, and then we picked the defense up when the other team scored. Complementary football is what wins in the playoffs.
Wait, so you're saying you played the Eagles to start the year, you lost, or did you win that game?
We won that game.
Okay, all right. So it is a little bit different, but that kind of seems like
we
symmetry.
also played the Bears to finish the season. Aaron Rodgers also missed a couple games that year, just like Jordan Love missed a couple games this year. I'm not going to make the comparisons because you're not supposed to, but man, wouldn't it be nice to just start with that first victory?
I believe it was True Detective who said time is a flat circle, if that makes
Whatever
sense
that
here. For John Kuhn, I'm Ryan Wing. Thanks for watching our WLUK Fox 11 YouTube series.